Now, one thing that we wanted to mention today was about David Amess, who our former colleague, who very sadly was murdered this day a year ago. I don't know how well you knew him, Tim. I mean, the funny
he was
thing,
a lovely man.
The funny thing about David was that when I first got elected to Parliament in 2005, and I was trying to recruit desperately some staff, I recruited somebody. And then only found out afterwards that she was already working for David Amess, and I didn't realise it. And I went with my tail between my legs in week 1 to see David Amess and say, David, I've got a terrible confession to make. I've just poached a member of your staff, but I didn't realise I had. And David just roared with laughter, which he always did. I mean, I've never known anybody who always had such a smile on his face. He just roared with laughter and said, "Don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine," you know. And you know, he always joked about it whenever I saw him, and he always asked how Claire was. You know, he was just one of those really nice, decent people who always had a smile on his face.
Yeah, he always made me laugh, and. I've had a few mental health difficulties over recent years, and I always remember one of the last times I spoke to David Amess, he rang me and he just said, you know, if you're ever in a really low point, you know, give me a call. And that was who he was. He always took the time to look after people, and
he had...
I still miss him to this day.
I can see that. You seem, you know, visibly moved. And I think he had a brilliant temperament for politics, because you do have to stay on an even keel when everything about you is going crazy. And lots of people did go to him because he was a ray of positivity in sometimes quite a depressing world.
Yeah. And respected amongst Labour MPs just as much as Conservative ones, Frank.
Absolutely. I was actually having lunch when the news came through about this terrible attack on David with Alison McGovern. And she immediately welled up, and she'd done some work.
South, just people don't know Labour MP for Wirral South.
And she was devastated by the news. At that time, we didn't realise it was fatal. But she'd worked with David on select committees, and I think, you know, that we all see in the chamber, people going at each other fiercely and all the disagreements, but we don't understand or appreciate often that MPs cross-party often do work together, often have common causes. And when you're a personality such as David Amess, you have that respect right across the world of politics. And as I say, Alison wasn't the only Labour MP who were deeply upset by the news.
The only politicians who have ding-dongs in the chambers and ding-dongs out of the chambers is us two.